Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this council meeting of the Town of Lincoln, March 31st, 2025, to order. I'd like to read a safety notice for everyone's benefit that's in the chambers. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate the council chambers to the nearest exit through the chamber doors. Obey all instructions given, and if assistance is required, please see Madam Clerk. Once you have evacuated the building, please gather in the front parking lot outside of Town Hall. Also, please ensure at this time that you place your cell phone on silent or turn it off. And lastly, the Town of Lincoln Council meetings are posted on our YouTube channel. Closed captioning is available on all of our videos by selecting the closed caption button on the bottom right of the video. Could you please stand for the national anthem?
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. Please be seated. The Town of Lincoln, being part of Niagara Region, is situated on treaty land. The land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawandronk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Members of Council are in attendance with regrets from Councillor Brunet and Councillor Pachariva. We have staff in attendance this evening, as well as Regional Councillor Foster in attendance. Do members have any amendments to the order of the agenda? There being none, are there any declarations of interest? Item number 7. My apologies. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to reiterate an interest that I declared under item 13.3, the Committee of the Whole minutes of March 24th, 2025.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Do members have any announcements? Please remember you have a limit of 3 items. Councillor Tremors?
Thank you, Mary Easton. I just have one very quick announcement, and that is the First Beansville Scouts is having an all-you-can-eat pasta night, and that is April 12th at 5:30 till 7:30 at the Lincoln Center. So mark your calendars and come out and support a great cause. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Njima?
Hey, thank you, Madam Mayor. On March 26th, I attended a breakfast at Jillian's Place with yourself, Councillor Reimer, and some key members of staff. Our clerk, Julie Kirkolos, is a board member for Jillian's Place. I was going to share the story that a woman, her personal story, but I don't know if I can get through it. It's pretty painful, but let's just say that it was a painful story. It was a story of her life, and it was a lived experience, and she's very involved with Jillian's Place now. And it continues on, the violence that happened in her family and to her mother personally, in her senior years, actually, still carries on. The father's in jail, and he continues to harass her on a regular basis. She went after him civilly and was successful, but she doesn't know if she's safe from him still. So what was clear, I felt in the room that day, I could almost feel it. It doesn't matter who you are in the room, whether you're personally a victim or whether it was your mother, your sister, your daughter, whoever. Everybody seems to be able to relate to a stories of violence against a spouse or just violence generally in the home. So what's good about Jillian's Place, and this caught me, is that their focus is on helping children when they're young, not only helping people now, but helping children when they're young and teaching them as they grow about coping skills and what to accept and what not to accept and all that. So, talk with people when they're young, and that's really going to have a long-term impact. So it was very, very, there was a lot of silence in the room, let's say that, while she was speaking. And then also, as a representative for the Town of Lincoln Chamber of Commerce, I attended the Chamber-led State of the Region last week with Chair Bradley. A number of us were there around the table here. It was a fireside chat format. He was speaking with Mishka Balsam about priorities, trying to predict the future, as we all do regularly, and try to figure out where to assign resources where we believe they will be needed. And also, from the Chamber, there's, a number of you know, there's been a tariff team struck. The Town of Lincoln is teaming with the Chamber and the BIA to form a tariff response team to assist where possible with questions related to tariff-related issues. We met last week and discussed perspectives from each organization and how we can continue to collaborate and work together. It was stated pretty clearly that the town is very limited in terms of policy levers and what we can do, but we can definitely work together and assist where possible. That's it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, and I'll tell you, we attend that breakfast each year, and it's the most somber affair. There's just no two ways about it. You have the second and third sober thought about what people live with every day. It's really quite remarkable. Councillor Reimer, I'm going to ask you to come on cue and speak about the gathering that you and I and Councillor Timmers had last week with the Vineland Scouts.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. I believe it was last Thursday, Councillor Timmers and the mayor and myself met the first Vineland Scouts. I believe that's what they were. They were finishing up badges, and part of their a requisite of this badge was to come in and speak with the mayor and council and learn more about civic duties and the way a government works in a municipality. So we had the chamber half full. We challenged them to talk to their friends and their parents so they could fill the whole chamber someday for some of our meetings. But just a great experience again. I mean, all of us have been able to be at some of these events, or we've had young people from Lincoln present to us, and it was just another one of those where and these guys were really small, 5 and 6 and 7 years old. So we had to kind of change on the fly. The mayor had to change her presentation a little bit to adapt to a younger crowd. We were waiting for, sort of 10 to 12-year-olds, but we had to adapt. But it was just, that's tomorrow, and all the sayings. That's our youth is tomorrow. But it was great to have them all here, and they're excited about getting together as as beavers, I believe is the actual level we had here. So, yep, great evening, and encourage everybody when they can to make it to some of these events where we have young people that are excited and getting together. And yeah, it was an awesome evening. So, thank you, Mayor.
All right, we move now to item 8, which is proclamations, and we have no proclamations this evening. We have no recognition and achievements this evening. We'll move on to item 10, which is delegations and presentations, and I'd like to invite Regional Councillor Rob Foster to come to the podium. And Councillor Foster did circulate his report earlier. Welcome, Rob.
Oh, there we go. You guys can do the pushing. That's kind of random for the people at home when they hear that comment. Anyway, good evening, Mayor Easton and council and staff. Thank you for having me back once again. Just a couple of quick things, and not so much on the regional council, but just more on the personal side of things. So I have my daughter and her husband and my grandchildren at our house. They live in the Bobcaygeon area, and that area of the province right now is going through quite a disaster with this ice storm that went through. They made the decision to come down to our place after being out of electricity for 2 days, and they're not sure when the electricity is going to be coming back on at their house up there. So that's a good news for them, as they're going to be warm. The bad news for me is that, well, I'm going to have to entertain my grandchildren for a few days. So anyway. Second thing I just wanted to mention, and when you were talking about the new scout group and all of these down in Vineland, the Rotary Club has gone through and done a needs assessment of the community. What we have done is we've gone through and did a review of the organizations that are within the community, particularly the ones that are youth-focused. We've made a master list. We've developed a formula that goes along with it. Mayor Easton and I were talking about that the other day. The plan is I'm going to be introducing that to her sometime within the next 2 weeks. And hopefully it'll come back for you guys to have a look at as well. The idea of this is to get a much better understanding of the needs within the community, particularly for organizations such as Rotary and the donations that are made within the community, but also for you as a council and also other organizations, so that we have a much better handle on what our community is all about. So anyway, that's coming along. My report, and I'm sorry for all you guys that I don't get it in sooner, but usually it isn't till the morning of the day of the meeting that I really have everything focused on what it is that I want to talk about. So, and of course, you know, it'd be incorrect to say that, you know, top of mind tariffs and these types of things aren't there. I mean, we all of us at all the various governments are taking a hard look at what's going on, how this is affecting our community. I'm quite pleased with what the town of Lincoln is doing, and at least having the discussions within the community to understand what's really coming into effect. But with these challenges, there's also opportunities too, and I think we all should be looking at it to understand much better things that even we can do better as councils, you know, and we're seeing at the provincial level where they're looking at dropping interprovincial barriers on things that should have been dropped long ago, to be quite honest. That's a good thing. You know, even at our lower level, I mean, it's an opportunity to take a look at what we're doing and how we're doing it, and seeing whether or not a lot of these things make sense. So, as I say, I'm a glass half full guy. I think there's some opportunity to be doing some good review. I have a motion coming forward at the region at our next council meeting. I put it in as a notice of motion. Essentially, what I'm trying to do with the motion is to get our council thinking a little bit different, particularly when it comes to discretionary spending at Niagara Region. I know, again, Mayor Easton and I have talked about this particular topic for some time now. We're really, in the end, there's not a lot that we as regional councillors can go and change to make things, I guess, if you want to say better, which would be like lower tax increases and stuff like that. There's not a lot that we have in the tool set to go and really do, but there are some areas that we certainly could be taking a good look at. My particular motion is saying we should be stopping going to any trade shows or any education sessions in the U.S. For the next year. The idea of that is that that would also be exhibitors, that would also be members of council that might want to consider those types of things, and members of staff. Now, it would be largely symbolic, I would say, but it would get us starting to think about those things that really truly are things that maybe we can do without within our budget sphere. So anyway, we're looking at that. And just as a comment, I'm not going to AMO this year. I made that decision back a while ago. Not because I don't love going to AMO, it's just I think I want to cut back even on my own personal expenses. We got our reports just like you guys got your reports on expenses at the town of Lincoln. I came in fourth, so thank goodness I didn't come in first. But nonetheless, I think it's appropriate to trim where we can. I provided a couple of reports for you tonight that I thought you might find interesting. It's for our upcoming Public Works meeting. And I want to start by saying I had a really good discussion with Director Tassone at the last council meeting afterwards. And we were talking about Lincoln and what's happening within this town vis-a-vis the region. And we've talked about it over the last couple of years, but again, construction is coming like crazy to our municipality. I mean, I think there's more being spent in the town of Lincoln over the course of the next year or two than is being spent elsewhere within Niagara Region. First of all, there's a lot of us can say it's been long overdue, possibly. But we have had a growing community. We have had a number of needs that are coming into play. I, like you, are looking forward to the finality of the Ontario Street reconstruction here in town. But I think Mr. Graham might know better than me, but I think the last major step of that is going to be the repaving to bring everything back up to the standard that it was before they began that actual construction project. And just for the ones that are very interested in the traffic safety at the corners as well, I do know that, and through my discussions with Director Tassone, that there's going to be a painting scheme put in place at the corner of King and Ontario that's going to be significantly upgraded to what we're used to. I've been recommending to him, by the way, to talk to Mr. Graham about some of the unique things that have been done here in town, but we shall see where they actually go with this. But permanent marking will be put down once that paving has been completed. I included a report that I thought you guys would just find interesting, and that is the Quarry Road continuing rehabilitation. When I first got on council years ago, I had this guy named Ray Conkle take me aside and say, there's, well, I better not talk like Ray. There's an awful lot of situations here in town that you're going to get to know and understand way better as a councillor, and one is Quarry Road, and some of the interesting times that have come about because of that. And by the way, you know, I was involved at the tail end of solving another problem up there before I went to the region. But all of these things have unique situations and ongoing liabilities that come into play. And so anyway, there's a process that's coming into play for Quarry Road that is very positive that's happening from the regional perspective. The region, of course, owns the dump part of all of this when it's all said and done. So anyway, I just thought you would find that report interesting. The second report that I gave you was the report here, just let me flip mine open here, of the things that are happening within the municipality. So, for example, Laurie Avenue construction is on the move. That's going to be put into play. They also talk about the construction going on in the Hollow now on the new bridge. Again, that's a major reconstruction project that's coming into play, and I was happy to participate with Councillor Michalek and I believe Councillor Brunet was at the meeting as well. Were you at it, the PIC that we did? Yeah. Councillor Murray as well. To talk about what is being recommended for changes in and through the valley when this is all said and done. Big project, and it's going to be really important to the future of our municipality. Tying in all of the good work that's been done by your committees here with active transportation, with you know, what the region is trying to accomplish in this area as well. So, and actually putting something in place that's going to last another 50 years when it's all said and done, at least another 50 years. The other one that I included was the report. So we got the road safety strategic plan that's coming forward at our Public Works meeting that's coming up. That's a very interesting one. And by the way, it's no surprise for you guys at this council, because you've always been good supporters of the road and safety initiatives that have been going on both at the region and also the major ones that are being done by this municipality. So, but this is starting to incorporate some of these things into a much broader initiative. Monies are going to be spent in order for us to incorporate the road safety into the capital projects themselves. There's going to be a focus on some of the high collision areas that there are within Niagara region, and there's a number of them that are outlined in the report itself, and countermeasure programs. So again, you know, the town of Lincoln can say we were on the leading edge of this, but you know, things like the speed display boards and traffic calming bollards, these types of things are all going to be part and parcel of this new initiative, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And by the way, it's not that the region hasn't been doing it, it's now we're actually going to be putting it into sort of official policy when this is all said and done. So there we go, that's my report for this evening. I'm the corporate services. Just to let you know, I'm chair of that committee again. So it's like, so all 8 years that I'm going to be at Niagara Region, or up until the end of this term, I'll have been the chair of corporate priorities, which is kind of unusual. But anyway, but we have some interesting reports that are coming through with it. We're going down the road with changes to our procurements. And it's putting a lot more strength in a variety of areas within the procurement area. There's some changes in values that are being looked at, what needs to come through our committees, what needs to go through staff, those types of things. So all of that's going to be sussed out over the course of the next couple of months as we're finishing those areas off. So, and that's my report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Foster. Before I open for questions, I want to turn to CEO Kirkopoulos. I'd like him to respond to what the plan is in Lincoln around the motion that's coming forward at the region, or something similar to that. What are the plans for Lincoln? Because I don't know when we would have an opportunity to, this won't be on an agenda that I'm aware of, and I think it's quite timely. Mr. Kirkopoulos.
Through council to the mayor. I think, Mayor, you're talking specifically around the motion the council referenced at the region around conferences to the U.S. I can tell you that as a CLT, we had a similar discussion in terms of conferences and travel to the U.S. I think looking for ways, the councilor's correct, some of them are symbolic more than they are anything else, but we did have that conversation, and as a CLT, we've decided, I think, very proactively that we will limit similar conferences and similar trips to the U.S. There are some things we do from an advocacy perspective, supporting some of our businesses. I think about our flower growers who do a lot of work there. So if there's opportunities where we can advocate for them and they require us going to some more of the northern states, we'll continue with those. But anything else relative to travel to the U.S., we will also seek to limit.
Okay, that's helpful. And we also have the our connections with the Agent General, who is Mr. Provost, who's located in Chicago. We have a connection with him as well in the event that we have other information that we want to talk to him about. And I think that I would just add that I think anything more than that, and I think it would be similar at the region, that other matters will come up during the budget process. And I know that Councillor Foster was talking to me last week about some of the changes that he and Councillor Redekop, who chairs the Budget Committee, have in mind and have been discussing with the finance staff. Thank you very much for that. Thanks for that, Rob. So now I have Councillor Benjima. Oh, did you?
Can I just go back to what Mr. Kirkopoulos said? So here's, I want you guys to know and understand my view of the universe as this is going on. I really truly believe we have a tsunami coming at us. I do not see any of this ending well. And unless there's, some sort of set of bright lights that come into play down in our neighbors to the south, we got trouble coming. And part and parcel of this is the fact that the very nature of what Niagara is. We are a big exporting area. I mean, you guys landed it really quite well talking to the horticulture area. This is a big industry for them going down there, and pennies matter on them actually doing what they're doing. There's lots of imports that are coming into Niagara as well. 54% of the business input comes from the United States, like the materials and the tools and the various things that are coming into play. This has huge effect on us, and this is where the glass is half empty for me. Is that I'm hearing things within the community just like you guys are. I have been talking to my friends in the automotive industry, and I can tell you there is fright out there at the moment on what's going on. And I tell you, we as politicians, whether it's the town of Lincoln, whether it's the region of Niagara, and our upper levels of government, I mean, we're going to have to be prepared. And I think sooner than later, taking a look at these areas is going to be really important for us. And that's what I'm trying to get started at the region at this particular point in time, is that discussion. It was really kind of funny. It was almost with that notice of motion, me taking a grenade and pulling the pin and tossing it into the economic development area of the region, because all of a sudden everybody and their uncle at the region was coming to me saying, "Are you okay? Is everything all right? Like, are you Like, what's going on with all of these things? And it's like, guys, if you're not understanding where I'm coming from with this, we're all in big trouble. Maybe we can't afford the multi-million-dollar economic development portfolio that we have. Maybe we can't afford some of these community improvement incentives that it is that we have going. I think all of us as municipal governments are going to have to take a look at our own houses and make these decisions. So anyway, that's where I'm coming from with this, and I'm coming at quite honestly. Honest to goodness, I don't give a damn about elections next year on the municipal side of things. I'm looking at this strictly from what are the right things that we need to be doing now, because it's not going to be pretty if this continues the way that it is. So just to give you guys an idea of where I'm going with that.
Mr. Kirkopoulos?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor. I completely agree with the councillor, and I think that's why, and it gives us an opportunity maybe to talk about a little bit about what we're doing. But that's why we are supporting Shop Local. You've seen some of the initiatives, some of the videos out there, the tariff team that was recently set up. We are trying to be proactive. We're working with Team Niagara and definitely coming together to see where we can have an impact. Having the roundtables that we are, I think that's where a lot of good information has come out from our flower growers. You've heard me say this before. I think you've heard the mayor and others say it. $500 million of flower production happens here in Lincoln. 25% of every flower that is sold in this country, or produced in this country, sorry, not sold, produced in this country, comes from the town of Lincoln. That is a huge amount. 1/4 of every flower in this country is grown right here. And so I think that's where I'm trying to be a little more optimistic than the councillor in terms of what we're doing and being proactive, and we need to continue to be proactive. But I appreciate the councillor raising some of these issues around tariffs and giving us an opportunity to share some of that information.
Thank you very much, both of you, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more opportunity for us to talk about this because there's so many different parts to it. Just depends on who you're talking to. I mean, even within the greenhouse industry, some export, there's huge exports, others don't export at all. So it's just a completely different perspective. Councillor Rinjima, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Foster, for sending over this report, sharing it with us about the road safety strategic plan. I don't know if you know how far the heat map, I should direct everyone to the heat map, which is on, I think, the 4th page of the presentation that Councillor Foster presented us with. There's a lot of red on there for fatal collisions, so I'm wondering how far that goes back. Do you know? I'm just curious. You may not know that. I don't see a date on it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the report, which I didn't send over to you, that backs this up doesn't have it. I just provided you the presentation. So I'll find that out and send that over to you. I can also send the additional report that the staff are dealing with. And by the way, for you guys, if you ever want to look at it, when we do publish our reports, it's on the Niagara Region website. Go under standing committees there, and they have all the reports that we're about to be dealing with. So,
Okay.
But I'll get that over to you, Dan.
Okay, sure. And also, I know that there's a lot of interest in traffic and what happens in our municipality, and you know that. And the intersection that you mentioned earlier on, King and Ontario, we get a fair amount of emails about what's happening at that intersection. So how can people get involved in this process? You made reference to an upcoming meeting. Do you know when that's going to be, when this is going to be before you again?
I don't believe there's any meetings that are going to be going on with regards to that intersection. There is a plan to be going and doing enhanced markings within that whole area. It sort of goes hand in hand with what the town of Lincoln has done with the enhanced work on intersections. And we see a lot actually in your ward where they've gone. The town has actually done some stuff there that really is quite good. I will give Dave credit where credit's due. So, but the the intent of that intersection, there's a lot of things that are going on. There's no major change expected to come into play with how the signals are actually working within that area. But anyway, I can get more information back to you on that one as well. Mr. Graham, I think, when is the paving expected to happen there? I think it's, like, all of this project is supposed to be done before the end of June, so do you know, if I, through you, Madam Mayor?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, I know it's a priority. The project's been going well, schedule-wise, the Ontario Street reconstruction we're referring to. And the plan is right now, once the asphalt plant opens, hopefully we can get the paving started. So they're looking at late April into, beginning of May, weather permitting. So.
And then after that, of course, along comes the painting and marking, so.
Okay, thank you for presenting today, Councillor Foster.
Councillor Reimer.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. Thanks, Councillor Foster, for coming, as always, and for the extra reports that you sent along. Question on the Quarry Road property, and I'll tie in the update on the Public Works update report. It's mentioned there, Glenridge and Mountain Road, and some of the things that are going on in there besides strictly being a closed landfill site. I've had the opportunity to work actually in both those locations, so the Glenridge facility is actually has a specific naturalization area to it. And so coming around to Quarry Road, I realize we have to spend money on there to totally understand the process there of treating that water. Is there any talk, and I think right off the top of my head, Line 5 is kind of in the same boat, I believe, and so would Park Road and Grimsby. Is there any talks, or how does that work as far as, and Quarry Road isn't as big as Glenridge, but any other uses like naturalization or is there some of this that we could use as a parking or how do you say, recoup some cost kind of thing, like there's, is there any other uses that are thought about besides just a big mound of grass?
So the primary responsibility for Niagara Region is on essentially the waste management / containment pieces of the puzzle. I'm not aware of anything else that may have come into play from a discussion point of view. You're probably more likely to get that information again through your staff to see if there's anything else that's being thought about up and through that area. It was funny when we ended up as the municipality purchasing the other piece of property because of the problems that exist away from the Quarry Road area there. I personally, I had all sorts of really big ideas on what it was that I thought we could do with that, but reality is reality. I mean, the primary focus is to make sure we stop the problem, and then afterwards we can take a good look at some of these things. So,
okay, thank you, Councillor Foster. Thank you, Mayor Easton.
Sorry. I have a motion moved by Councillor Mikulik, seconded by Councillor Russell, that council receive and file for information the following delegation, Regional Councillor Foster. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and the vote is now open.
I don't think I've properly, oh, here it is. Here we go. We're good.
And I'll close that vote. And that carries. Thank you.
so thank you very much as normal for actually allowing me to participate. Have a good evening, guys.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk, and the motion is carried. We move on to item number 11, which is items for consideration, and we have none this evening. Item 12 is the motion to approve previous council minutes, and we're considering item 12.1, council minutes of March the 3rd, 2025. Do members of council have any questions? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Murray, seconded by Councillor Reimer. The council approve the minutes of the following meetings of council minutes of March the 3rd, 2025. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
And the vote is now open. That carries.
Thank you very much. The motion is carried. We move on to item number 13, which is recommendations from standing committees. And we're now considering the following: Committee of the Whole minutes of March 17th, 2025, Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of March 19th, 2025, Committee of the Whole minutes of March 24th, 2025. Do members of council have any questions? I see none. I have a motion moved by Councillor Timmers, seconded by Councillor Rajima. The council approved the following recommendations from standing committees: Committee of the Whole minutes of March 17th, 2025, Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of March 19th, 2025, Committee of the Whole minutes of March 24th, 2025. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and the vote is open. And I will close that vote. That carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The motion is carried, and I'll move on to item number 14. We're now considering 14.1, a notice of motion brought forward by Councillor Russell. This is an introductory notice of motion regarding transit and will be considered in detail at the next scheduled council meeting. Councillor Russell, would you like to provide introductory remarks in respect to this item? And now we can do that again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to council. Very simply, after our last meeting, or not our last meeting, sorry, our update that we received earlier this year from the NRT, I found it unsatisfactory of what the cost ratio was for the services that we are receiving currently to the utilization of the current services. So again, I think we need to have a greater discussion on maybe what fixed base routing system might be for transit as opposed to the current microtransit options. So what my notice of motion is going to be, and I want to put it up to discussion to find out what members of council have as far as thoughts and concerns about the current system and maybe what we could have. But this will be a request from council to our member of the NRT Transit Commission to seek out costing for fixed-based route-based transit that, again, in my idealistic mind, would be going from St. Catharines to Lincoln to Grimsby, back to St. Catharines, which then we could then share those costs with the other municipalities, but then hopefully increase the overall opportunity for usage, but bring down the cost. So it's not any direction on where we should go with services. It's basically just trying to get a cost or quotation on potential cost for services. So that's what the notice of motion will be.
Thank you, Councillor, and I'll save my remarks. I'm very supportive of your motion, of the fact that you've brought this forward, so thank you very much for that. All right, now we'll move on to the second part. Deputy Mayor Rajima, if you would take over the meeting at this point.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was, I don't know the difference, obviously, between green and yellow. Go ahead, would you do that again?
I think I'm out now. Let me try again.
You are? Okay, now you're in. Members of council, we had, oh. Okay.
All right, here I am.
All right. Members of council, we had some information last week, some that was provided through the media, and other information that was provided from the chief and from the CAO. So I think that it's a good idea, again, if we have a more fulsome discussion on this issue of the purchasing of emergency vehicles. I don't know that we're entirely have a full understanding of all the vehicles that could include, so we should talk about that. We should also be provided information on the tariff plan and whether there are mitigating actions that we can actually take. And I believe that there are letters that we can send to the province and beyond in order to support the chief's positions. So I'll be bringing the motion forward to seek your consent in that regard. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll turn it back over to you for your report.
Okay. I have a motion. No motion. All right, we are now on item 15, which is reports of municipal officers, and I do have a report for you this evening, and I've also supplied my report to the clerk. Good evening, council members, staff, and residents. I want to take a moment this evening to address some key economic challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for the town of Lincoln. With all the talk about tariffs and uncertainty, I thought it was important to mention this. We can hardly ignore that there is such a lot of turbulence going on around us. As we navigate an increasingly uncertain financial landscape, it is more important than ever that we make strategic, responsible decisions that balance fiscal sustainability with continued investment in our community. One of the immediate concerns we face is the potential impact of retaliatory tariffs, which could significantly drive up costs for municipalities across Ontario, including our own. A prime example is the article in the paper that I referred to earlier last week. It was around the pumper truck that we've ordered for our fire services, which could see a $250,000 price increase if these tariffs are imposed. It's not just a local issue, obviously, and it's a challenge being faced by municipalities across Canada, forcing us to reconsider budgets, to delay necessary purchases as necessary, or even to explore alternative funding sources. At the same time, we recognize the importance of continued investment in community infrastructure. And I'm pleased to highlight some positive news on that front. And that's why, in some ways, you don't want to take a completely 100% negative view of everything that's happening. When the Canadian government just reported to us, sent us a notice last week, and confirmed that the Vineland Library project has been able to secure $2 million in funding through the Government of Canada's Green and Inclusive Community Buildings, the GICB program. Now, on one hand, you could say, well, maybe they shouldn't have been approving such a request. However, as we know, and I think we're trying to educate the public, libraries form a very, very important part of our culture, certainly a very, very important component of the education that goes in our community, as well as providing a lot of services and supports that families are not able to do easily themselves. So the strategic investment piece of this is very important, prioritizing projects that have long-term benefits such as the library and other infrastructure funding, while ensuring that we are not overburdening future budgets. I want to reassure residents that we are actively planning for these economic challenges on all fronts. We will continue working closely with all levels of government, seeking creative funding solutions, ensuring that Lincoln remains a strong, forward-thinking community. Together, we will protect our financial future, invest in what matters, and make the best decisions for Lincoln today and for generations to come. And I thank you for your attention. I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer, seconded by Councillor Mikulik, that council receive and file as information the following mayor's report. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and the vote is now open. And I'll close that vote. That carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The motion carries. Item number 16 is a motion to consider confidential matters, and we have none this evening. Item 17 is a motion to approve bylaws, and we have 4 bylaws for consideration. Do members have any questions on the bylaws? Councillor Timmers.
Thank you, Mary Easton. I have a question around the bylaw 17.2, 2025-11. That's on restricting heavy vehicle traffic.
Okay, go ahead.
My question is just regarding the area, I'm just pulling up the map. The area, the map, will this affect no frills delivery trucks? I feel like I'm not clear on that, so
Okay.
maybe through to
Director
Graham.
Graham, would you please respond?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, thanks for the question. So if you look at the map, it won't restrict any delivery trucks using no frills. What it's doing is it's basically requiring any of those trucks that go to the loading dock at No Frills off Maple Street or Maple Avenue, when they leave No Frills, to go left and head down Maple to Central, back out to John, opposed to heading right from the loading dock along Maple Avenue to East Avenue. We've had a lot of issues with delivery trucks heading east along Maple to East Avenue, just with the tight corners and things like that. So it's really just to make sure trucks are directed the other direction.
Okay, makes sense. I just wasn't clear, and then I realized East Ave is quite a narrow road, so that makes sense. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Thank you, Mary Easton.
Very good. Anyone else? All right. I have a motion moved by Councillor Russell, seconded by Councillor Murray, that leave be given to approve the following bylaws. 2025-10, a bylaw to authorize the use of optical scanning vote tabulators for the purpose of counting votes at the 2026 municipal and school board election, and the use of internet voting and voting proxies as alternative voting methods, and to authorize advance voting for use in the 2026 municipal and school board election. 2025-11, bylaw to amend bylaw to regulate and prohibit heavy traffic on local municipal roads, Schedule A, heavy vehicle traffic. Bylaw 2025-12, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 89-2000, 89-28, as amended, being a bylaw to regulate traffic and parking on local municipal roads, Schedule C, parking prohibited. Bylaw 2025-13, a bylaw to adopt the estimates of all sums required and set the rates of taxation for the year 2025. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thanks, and the vote is now open. I'll close the vote. That carries, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The motion is carried, and we move on to motion 18, to confirm proceedings of the council meeting. We will now confirm the proceedings of the council meeting. I have a motion moved by Councillor Renchima, seconded by Councillor Timmers, that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 2025-14, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Monday, March 31st, 2025, being read a first, second, and third time, that bylaw number 2025-14 be enacted and passed, that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Vote is open. Thank you, and I'll close that vote. That carries.
Thank you. The motion is carried. We move on now to item 19, which is council remarks. And before we adjourn the meeting, do members have any comments? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Mikulik and seconded by Councillor Reimer that the council meeting on March 31st, 2025 be adjourned at 18:56 hours. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thanks. Vote's now open. And that carries. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. The motion is carried. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attention. This concludes our council meeting for this evening, and have a good week. Thank you.